Hi everyone. Today I'm going to talk about Crowder's segment Rape Culture is a Myth. I'm going to recommend that everyone watches the video to make sure I'm not taking anything out of context, but I think I'm being fair with my criticism. Generally, I don't watch videos like this because of my low tolerance for bullshit. However, some people at work were talking about this, so I watched it to debunk it. Holy shit, this video is dishonest. The first thing I thought, as soon as I saw young college students talking to him, was this going to be a cavalcade of strawmen. And I was not disappointed. But I'll talk about that later. So, let's get into my first point.
This is not meant to be an argument. It's gotten hostile sometimes because people come in and scream or get really upset.
Because you have to read the hundreds of books and articles that the professors who are able to articulate it read. I can't articulate it. I'm a junior. I'm an acting major. I'm not well versed in any of this.
Sure.
And I'm here talking to you just because I felt that your approach changed my mind. Perhaps maybe I don't think you want to change your mind.
Myself an idiot asshole, but just for her sake, I'll play one on TV. This time I allowed her to assume that I know nothing so that she could teach me.
From this collection of clips, you can see that he's clearly not arguing in good faith. He's trying to fish for liberal tears and chasing views. He's not trying to convince anyone. He's actually being a condescending prick.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. I was going to agree with you there until you did. Where do you think I just disagreed with you?
What do you mean?
You just spoke, and I was actually about to agree with you about, obviously, you feel more safe than women who jog. But then I was going to agree with you, but then you segued, and this is a thought, because it was your thought exercise. Where do you think I hopped off the train?
Again, let me reiterate. He's clearly not trying to change anyone's mind. He's just trying to entertain his YouTube viewers. Not that that's a problem. However, it is a problem when you're trying to convince yourself you're having an intellectual debate when all you're trying to do is upset college students. He's preaching to his choir of fanboys. He's trying to give them talking points they can use to negate other people's arguments. Which is why, when you look closer, the arguments are not particularly well researched. He picked the two sources he could find that had the lowest numbers, then he misrepresented what they said to support his fallacious argument. However, we will get to nitpicking his statistics later. The reason why the entire argument was fallacious was because it was based on a false premise. Which leads me to my next point.
The idea that rape is, and you sort of echoed that, I want to make sure we both agree to start with, that it's a society or a culture at large where rape is either promoted, encouraged, or tolerated.
Yeah.
I guess sort of described in academic circles, the idea, a societal or a patriarchal society where rape is either encouraged or tolerated. Rape culture, as it's, so I want to make sure I define it. So
Yeah, that's all I want to know is what your definition of rape
as
culture
defined
is.
sort of by academia.
Perfect.
And modern feminist, sort of like feminism, gender studies, the idea that we live in a culture that encourages, perpetuates, or tolerates rape systemically. Rape culture. I would use the definition that would be taught here probably on your college campus in gender studies or with modern feminist theory, or as it's been used in sort of societal nomenclature. The idea that we live in a culture that perpetuates, encourages, or even tolerates rape.
Well, the problem with this is that as far as I can tell, that's not the definition. He says he got it from feminists and academics to give it the air of legitimacy. However, I can't really tell where he got it from. He says rape culture is a culture where rape is encouraged, tolerated, or perpetuated. However, Googling rape culture encouraged or tolerated doesn't lead to any actual academics I can find saying what Crowder is saying. However, Googling rape culture, the first thing that pops up is Wikipedia, which says rape culture is, and I quote, rape culture is a sociological concept for a setting in which rape is pervasive and normalized due to societal attitudes about gender and sexuality. A culture where rape is pervasive and normalized, which, surprise, surprise, is completely different from saying tolerated and encouraged. Instead of saying rape culture is a culture that pushes people to rape, it's more appropriate to say it's a culture where rape is a fairly common occurrence that's not particularly surprising. Which is an entire step back from actually encouraging or tolerating it. No one's trying to claim there's some type of program to encourage rape or there's some type of rape scholarship, because that's absolutely insane. What people are trying to say He said the culture is passively accepting this, and it's not going out of its way to root it out. The problem is that sexual assault is definitely part of the problem that is rape culture. However, Crowder doesn't see it that way. He sees it as a completely different problem.
Assault is included in your umbrella of rape.
No, not for rape. We can discuss the two issues separately.
That would be the discrepancy.
But let's talk about sexual assault culture. Okay.
Again, as Wikipedia says, rape is pervasive and normalized due to societal attitudes about gender and sexuality. The problem is, Crowder is entirely focusing on the part where he says rape is pervasive and normalized. He's forgetting the fact that the second half of the definition is that due to societal attitudes about gender and sexuality. If society thinks that sexually harassing women in the workplace is acceptable, or sexually assaulting women at college is acceptable, that's going to have repercussions.
And from the evidence, it's about 1 in 1,900 women are raped in the United States, according to the FBI. It's about 1 in 1,000 for college students. If you include all sexual assault, according to the Department of Justice or Bureau of Justice, it's about 1 in 52 of all sex. That includes, playing grab ass.
The first thing I would like to point out is how incredibly demeaning it is that Crowder refers to sexual harassment as playing grab ass, like it's some sort of game. But that's just Crowder being a condescending prick. Like I mentioned before, it's not particularly surprising. However, the biggest problem is with his data. The two sources he cited and the statistics he gave us don't match at all. The FBI data he cited doesn't have the number 1 out of 1,900 in it at all. In fact, crunching numbers doesn't show any of his statistics to be right, either the 1 out of 1,900 women, or the 1 out of 1,000 college students, or the 1 out of 52 being sexually assaulted. It's all just wrong. He got the 1 out of 52 numbers from an AEI, which is a conservative think tank that has a mixed factual reporting rate from the Media Bias Fact Check website. Yeah, Crowder didn't actually get the data from the study that he cited. He got the data from the projections this conservative think tank ran on the data using incorrect assumptions. As you can see, this is the set of assumptions that the AEI based their numbers on. Now, is that 1 out of 52 number correct? Absolutely not. They take the yearly average, then multiply it by 4, then use some formula to take it from 1 out of 46 to 1 out of 52. Now, I don't know if the percentage decrease is correct. However, the problem is the average length the student is in college is longer than 4 years. Currently, as of 2014, it was 6 years and 4 months. So this means their off-the-cuff estimates on sexual assault is completely wrong. They were lazy and used things they thought they knew to make some sort of wrong political statement, showing their lazy bias towards things that can be used to further their political ideology.
Back to the question, this idea that we support or we tolerate or we encourage rape, or that it's occurring in numbers that are out of the ordinary. Proportionally to other crimes, rapists are convicted at about the same rate as armed robbers, for example. Do we have an armed robbery culture? Statistically, it doesn't bear out. We charge rapists, we put them in jail. Rape is a very rare crime, and I don't believe that we live in a culture that supports or condones rape. We do punish it. We prosecute, we charge rapists, we put them in prison.
But not always.
Not always.
And I'm saying
But at the same rate as many other crimes, armed robberies, arson, assault, they're convicted at the same rates. We don't tolerate rape. We prosecute and put them in prison. The worst maximum security prisons.
The problem with those claims is that they're simply not true. According to a 2013 study, the one that's currently on the screen, only about 35% of rapes are reported, while according to an analysis by RAINN using data from 2010 to 2014, they calculate that out of 1,000 instances of rape, 310 are reported to the police, 57 of those are arrested, 11 of them are referred to prosecutors, 7 will lead to a felony prosecution, and only 6 of those 1,000 will be actually incarcerated, which is about 1/2 to 2/3 less than robberies or assault and battery, directly contradicting Crowder's claim, which he conveniently did not source.
And from the evidence, it's about 1 in 1,900 women are raped in the United States, according to the FBI. It's about 1 in 1,000 for college students. If you include all sexual assault, according to the Department of Justice or Bureau of Justice, it's about 1 in 52 of all sex. That includes, playing grab ass.
I'm replaying this clip to make a point. I'll get to that point. Just give me a second to explain it. There are multiple studies that show how many women have been raped in their entire life in the U.S., and that's called the prevalence rate. The prevalence rate is estimated to be around 15 to 20%, as opposed to the annual rate that Crowder has been trying to misrepresent. Crowder has been using his statistics entirely incorrectly. He says 1 out of 1900 and 1 out of 1000 and 1 out of 52. These are all the women that have been raped. Again, those are the annual rates. He's trying to imply that those are the entire amount of women that have been raped, and that's simply not true. It's the amount that happens a year, not the amount that happens total. And he seems to be willfully misrepresenting that difference.
Forerunner.
Witnesses, all of whom could not corroborate her story, somewhat, they outright refuted it. Right of this?
Yes.
No, they outright refuted it.
This video was released on October 2nd and was filmed the day before on October 1st. This was after the Kavanaugh and Ford hearings. So this was before the confirmation vote. Crowder seems to be misrepresenting what happened. I'm guessing he's trying to muddy the water for reasons. When I started watching this, I immediately thought this was going to be Steven Crowder arguing against a bunch of stupid strawman college students. And that's pretty much what it was. But the last guy made a really good point, and I'd like to play it.
It's very hard for a conservative to get a permit on campus to conduct these debates. It's often very hard to find people who will do so, and usually end up with either an activist or professor. The goal to this discourse is to have conversations with real people about these topics.
Well, don't you think it's kind of like setting yourself up if you're interviewing students?
We haven't just done students.
That's all I've seen today.
Today we're doing it at this campus, yeah. We do a pretty eclectic mix. Mm-hmm. Last time we did it in front of the White House.
Are the people, do you ever like debate someone where
Sure.
you... Mm-hmm.
It's very hard to often find leftist opponents who are willing to engage in a debate.
Honestly, before I did this video, I had never done research into rape culture, and thus didn't really have an opinion on whether it existed or not. However, with only 3 statistics, I am led to the belief that it is a serious problem with American culture today. That is, 15 to 20% of women have experienced either an attempted rape or rape. Only 0.6% of rapists actually end up incarcerated, and only 35% of rapes are reported. In conclusion, Steven Crowder is dishonest and enjoys pissing people off. There was little of substance in his 45-minute video, and what was there was wrong.